When we proposed the DARE project back in 2016, radicalisation was really focused on studying so-called Islamist terrorism, especially the impact of people going out as foreign fighters to conflicts in the Middle East. What we wanted to do with the DARE project was to shift the debate around radicalisation. Empirically, we wanted to look at right-wing extremism alongside Islamist extremism, and theoretically we wanted to move away from an understanding of radicalisation as a kind of linear process, how people got from one point to an end point of violent extremism. So we set out with an agenda of studying radicalisation in context. We talked about trajectories through extremist milieus or radical milieus. So we wanted to look at how social structural factors came together with factors such as ontological insecurity, so how people came to feel existential threat to self or to the group. And we wanted to look at how both of those interacted with the actual encounter of radical messages. So we're interested in young people's pathways through those milieus, but also very much those environments in which they're encountering radical messages. And one of the things that allowed us to do was to understand young people's journeys as ones in which they had a role, where they reflected, they made key choices along the way. So radicalisation becomes not a process that's done to them, but one that has many possible outcomes. The DARE project had a number of different empirical strands. We looked at online radicalisation, and we looked at that in relation to Islamist and to right-wing extremist milieus. And the research we undertook included the studying of around 600 Twitter profiles. We undertook 19 ethnographic case studies. 10 of those were in Islamist milieus and 9 of them were in right-wing extremist milieus. Altogether, we conducted just under 400 interviews as part of that ethnographic strand of research. And we undertook historical case study work in 5 countries, looking at historical cases of radicalisation to see what we could learn from them for the current day, and also 5 studies of interactional radicalisation, or what's often called cumulative radicalisation. We undertook systematic reviews of both quantitative and qualitative empirical studies that have already been published on the relationship between inequality and radicalisation. A series of expert interviews with policymakers and stakeholders in the field of countering violent extremism, and also a number of interviews with formers, in the case of right-wing extremists, and also families of people affected by Islamist extremism. And we fed those into our community dialogue workshops and then into educational toolkits to use in community and educational environments. And finally, we developed a toolkit to evaluate the structural integrity of de-radicalisation programmes.